The light through the library windows falls in quiet rectangles across the wooden floor. James sits behind the circulation desk, scanning returned books. The same desk he's sat at for 9 years. Beep, scan, stack. The rhythm is automatic now. A woman approaches with 3 novels. He checks them out. She thanks him. He nods. The interaction takes maybe 30 seconds. She leaves, and the library returns to its usual silence. James looks around the main reading room. The same shelves, the same tables, the same fluorescent hum. He knows exactly where every section is. Fiction, history, biography, reference. He could walk this building blindfolded. At 33, he thought he'd be somewhere else by now. Maybe managing a larger library system. Maybe teaching literature somewhere. Maybe writing something of his own. But here he is instead, checking out books, shelving returns, answering the same questions. Where's the bathroom? Do you have Wi-Fi? Can you help me print? There's nothing wrong with the work. It's steady, it pays the rent. But it's not the kind of job people ask about at parties. When someone says, "What do you do?" and he answers, their eyes glaze over a little. "Oh, that's nice," they say, already thinking about the next conversation. James walks to the returns cart and starts shelving. He moves through the stacks with practiced efficiency. Each book has its place, its exact spot. He slides them in one by one. A thriller, a cookbook, a self-help guide. People's lives pass through his hands every day. Their reading habits, their curiosities, their escapes. But he's just the person who checks them in and out. The invisible man behind the desk. Through the window, he sees people walking by outside, moving with purpose, going somewhere. He wonders what their lives are like, if they feel like they matter, if they wake up feeling like they're doing something important. James returns to the desk. The afternoon stretches ahead. Quiet and predictable, ordinary. The weeks blur together in the way they do. Monday, he processes new acquisitions. Tuesday, there's a children's story hour he helps set up. Wednesday, he covers the reference desk. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, more of the same. The library has its regulars. Mrs. Chen, who comes every Tuesday for romance novels. The college student who camps at the same table every afternoon. The homeless man who reads newspapers for hours, never causing trouble. James knows them all by sight. But he doesn't really know them. They exist in his world as familiar strangers, passing through his ordinary days. On Thursday evening, his brother calls. Marcus just got promoted. Again, he's managing a whole department now at some tech company. James listens to the excitement in his brother's voice. "You should come visit the new office," Marcus says. "It's incredible. Floor-to-ceiling windows, espresso bar, the whole thing." "Sounds great," James says. "How's the library?" Marcus asks, the way someone asks about the weather. "Same as always." "Well, that's good. Stability, right?" After they hang up, James sits in his small apartment. The walls are lined with books he's collected over the years, books he loves, books that matter to him. But loving books and working with them are different things, he's learned. The magic he once felt, surrounded by stories, has dulled into routine. He opens his laptop and stares at the blank document he's been staring at for months. He used to want to write, used to think he had something to say. Now the cursor just blinks at him, waiting. He closes the laptop. On Saturday, he works the full day shift. The library is busier on weekends. families, students, people with time to kill. He helps a father find picture books for his daughter. He shows a teenager where the graphic novels are. He explains the whole system to an elderly man for the third time. Each interaction is brief, functional. He's helpful, he's polite. But he feels like he's on the outside of all these lives, facilitating their reading, their learning, their entertainment, while his own life feels like it's on pause, waiting for something to start. But what if nothing ever starts? What if this is it? The question sits in his chest like a stone. He thinks about all the paths he didn't take, all the versions of himself that might have been the writer, the professor, the person who mattered. Instead, he's the library clerk, the ordinary man in the ordinary job, scanning books, day after day. On a Wednesday afternoon, James is shelving in the history section. He pulls a book from the cart, a biography of Abraham Lincoln. As he opens it to check the spine for damage, something falls out. A small piece of paper, yellowed with age. He picks it up. It's a handwritten note in faded blue ink. For Margaret, may this book give you strength during the hard days. The best leaders were once ordinary people who kept going. You will too. Love, Thomas. December 1987. James stands very still. The note is nearly 40 years old. He looks at the book again, checks the date stamp inside. It's been checked out dozens of times over the decades. And this note has been traveling with it all that time, moving from shelf to hand to home and back again, carrying a message from Thomas to Margaret, a moment of care, of hope. He wonders who they were. If Margaret got through her hard days, if she ever knew this note was still here, still traveling. James carefully tucks the note back into the book. He shelves it in its proper place. Then he stands there in the quiet stacks and keeps shelving. But now he's noticing things. A coffee stain on page 43 of a cookbook. Someone had this book open at breakfast. A folded corner in a mystery novel, marking someone's place. They fell asleep reading it, maybe. Or had to catch a bus. Pencil marks in the margin of a poetry book. Tiny check marks next to certain lines. Someone found words that mattered to them, wanted to remember them. Every book he touches has been places, has sat on nightstands and kitchen tables, has been read in waiting rooms and on park benches, has traveled through lives he'll never know. And he's been the one sending them out, the one making sure they come back, the one keeping them in order so the next person can find them. James thinks about the thousands of books he's handled, the tens of thousands of checkouts he's processed, each one a small moment he made possible. Someone looking for comfort found a novel. Someone looking for answers found a guide. Someone looking for escape found a fantasy world. And he was here, making sure the books were where they needed to be. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't prestigious, but it was real. He moves to the next cart and continues shelving. His hands work steadily, the same motions he's made 10,000 times. But they feel different now, not like a man killing time. Like a man doing something that matters, something small and quiet and absolutely necessary. He thinks about Margaret and Thomas again, their story tucked inside a book for 40 years. And he realizes the library is full of stories like that, not just the printed ones, but the human ones, the connections, the moments, the quiet acts of care. And he's been part of that all along, the keeper of these small, beautiful things. Thursday morning, James opens the library at 9. He unlocks the doors the same way he always does, turns on the lights, boots up the computers. The building comes to life around him, but he feels more present in it somehow, more aware of what he's part of. Mrs. Chen comes in at her usual time. "Good morning, James," she says. He realizes she's been saying his name for years. He's not invisible to her. He's the person who keeps her favorite books available, who knows she likes historical romance over contemporary, who saves the new releases for her. "Good morning, Mrs. Chen," he says, and means it. The college student arrives and sets up at his table, the same table every day. James wonders if he thinks of it as his table now, a stable place in the chaos of school and life. James made that possible too, by keeping the library open, organized, welcoming. The day moves forward with its familiar rhythm, but James moves through it differently, not waiting for his real life to start, just here, in this one, doing this work. At lunch, he sits in the break room with his sandwich. His co-worker Janet is reading at the other table. "Find anything good?" he asks. She looks up, surprised. He doesn't usually make conversation. "Oh, yes, this memoir. It's lovely." They talk for a few minutes about books, about what they're reading. It's a small conversation, nothing profound, but it feels good, real, connected. In the afternoon, James finds another note, this one in a gardening book. "Planted tomatoes today, page 47 works. K." He smiles and leaves it where it is. These little pieces of life, he's the custodian of them all. Before closing, he walks through the library one more time, making sure everything is in order for tomorrow. The books are straight on the shelves. The tables are clear. The computers are logged off. Everything ready for the next day, for the next reader, for the next small moment he'll make possible. James thinks about his brother's office, with its floor-to-ceiling windows. He thinks about the blank document on his laptop. He thinks about all the things he thought would make him feel like he mattered. And then he thinks about Margaret's note, about Mrs. Chen's routine, about the college student's table, about all the quiet, ordinary ways he shows up, day after day, keeping this place running, making sure the stories get where they need to go. It's not extraordinary. But maybe that's never been the point. He locks the library door behind him and walks to his car. The evening is cool and clear, and tomorrow he'll be back, scanning books, shelving returns, answering questions, living his ordinary life. And somewhere in all of it, without fanfare or recognition, he'll matter. Not because he's special, but because he's here, doing the small necessary work, being the person who keeps the books moving, who keeps the stories alive, who shows up, ordinary and essential, quiet and enough. The keeper of small things, the guardian of ordinary moments. And that, he finally understands, is something. Stories are where hope begins again. This is an original quiet story created for this space. You're welcome to subscribe. A gentle like is always appreciated.